Looking for a guaranteed way to create content that resonates with your audience? Start a podcast, interview your ideal clients, and let them choose the topic of the interview. Because if your ideal clients care about the topic, there's a good chance the rest of your audience will care about it too. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show. Welcome back to another episode in our category creation series of B2B Growth. I am joined today by John Ruggi, the co-host of this series, VP of Marketing at SkyFi. John, how you doing today, man?
Hey, it's always a pleasure to be with you, James. How are things going with you?
Things are going fantastic. So today, John, we're going to be talking about an idea that I've been thinking about lately, and I'm really excited to dive into it. It's around this concept of creating a definition for your category. This is something we did pretty early on. What are your thoughts around this?
Yeah, so in other episodes, you and I had talked about why you should create a category or why not to create a category, and then how to name that category. And we've hit upon this idea that, look, naming it is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of work that has to happen to really get value from that. And defining the category is a really important kind of next step of that exercise. So I know you guys have gone through that internally, and I'm really excited to hear your thoughts about why that's so important.
So there are three things, as I was jotting down notes to talk about this. There are three things that I wanted to cover. The first one being, you're going to be referencing this definition a lot, your marketing team, your sales team, across your entire organization. If you do it right, in my opinion, there's going to be a lot of different people referencing this definition. And so it's worth writing down a formal definition. And as you are doing that, that's obviously going to be a very collaborative process with you and your team. But every word matters, because the longevity of how, this definition is going to impact how a lot of people explain what this category is. And so getting it right, I think, is incredibly important. We went through multiple iterations of the definition, talking about it with our leadership team, kind of picking apart each word to make sure that it really packed a punch, that it wasn't too wordy, but it explained enough. So for context, I'll just share our definition of our category, content-based networking. And it's collaborating with ideal clients, potential referral partners, and industry influencers to build meaningful relationships by creating content together. So for us, we decided to do it in one sentence, and we just were very intentional about all of the words that we use there. But that's our definition, so that folks can just kind of have an example there. But yeah, I think every word matters. I think you're going to be referencing this definition a lot. So it is absolutely worth writing it down and making it a formal definition of the category.
I like how clear and concise that was with that final result there. For context, James, how much time did you guys need to work through that definition and really get it nailed?
Yeah, so I tend to be a ready, fire, aim kind of guy, just my personality. And so I think I got something up. It was a kind of a late night kind of brainstorm, and I posted something. I don't know if it was on Slack or via email. And we probably went back and forth it might have been over the course of 4 to 5 days of kind of, what if we said this instead of this? What if we use this phrase instead of this right here? Hey, I think this could be taken out of context. And so we bumped things around for probably 4 or 5 days, but it wasn't super long. I mean, inside of a week, we had something nailed.
Good to know, because it's not just something you kind of write up in an email and you're done. And I think this kind of leads to one of the other points you wanted to talk about is you have the definition, but really you're using that definition not just internally, but to create meaning for that category over a long period of time. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah. So having, and as you and I were fleshing through this idea before we hit record here, the necessity of having consistent language, because again, it's not just going to be the founder or CEO talking about this category. It's going to be everybody within your organization. I mean, your sales teams, your marketing teams, lots of different people are going to be talking about this category and evangelizing for the category. And so giving them consistent language over that they can use over a long period of time is going to implant in your market's mind what that category is. And because you are the company that named the category, you defined the category, I just think it's so important that you have this definition so that you can create that consistent language.
Right. So it might feel like it takes a long time over multiple days or weeks to get the language right. But when you think about how long that term is going to be used or that definition is going to be used, it's really just a very small piece of time in kind of the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So I think maybe another idea you talked about is it's fine to think about the abstract idea of promoting that category, but you have some practical ways to start using that definition in a very applied way, especially on LinkedIn. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So once you land on that definition, the first place, honestly, that I put it was in my own LinkedIn summary. And so if you go and look at my profile, you'll see pretty early in my LinkedIn summary that I, talk about, our team coined the term content-based networking in August of 2018. And this is how we define it. And then I share the definition right there in my LinkedIn summary. And right after I put it in my LinkedIn summary, I thought, you know what? I think our entire team needs to have this definition in their LinkedIn summary. And so I sent out an email or Slack message, whatever, and had our entire leadership team and some of our employees as well talk to or embed this definition into their LinkedIn summaries. This is also something I think you can share on your website. We're in the process of revamping our website right now. And so I was just talking to the guy that's leading that initiative for us yesterday, talking about kind of where on the website this category is going to live, the definition of the category. And then you also want it to be in a place, maybe it's a Google Doc in Google Drive, somewhere where, when different people from your team or when the founder and CEO is interviewed in the media, that they can reference it. So I always end up pulling up my LinkedIn profile and just going to my summary. But I've noticed that in this, I've done quite a few podcast interviews since we defined this category, and I always end up wanting to reference the actual definition. So not just sharing the name, but actually sharing how we defined it, so that it starts to be embedded in the minds of our market and who we really want to embrace this term and this definition. So those are really the big things that I wanted to touch on. The importance of writing it down and having a formal definition that every word matters, because it's going to give you this consistent language for the long term. And then hopefully those, sharing it on LinkedIn, on your LinkedIn summary, on your team's LinkedIn summary, putting it on, figuring out how to incorporate it into your website, talking about it when you're interviewed in the media. Hopefully this gave a good explanation of kind of the why and then how to distribute the definition once you've come up with it. So hope this has been super helpful. John, do you have any thoughts before we close?
I'm going to go check out your LinkedIn profile to see if you've got it memorized and nailed, and if it's consistent. And if it's not, James, I'm going to call you out.
Yes, please do. Please do. Awesome, man. All right. So connect with John.marketing. Connect with me. You can go to my LinkedIn profile, Twitter @James Carberry. Shoot me an email, james@swoopfishmedia.com. Would love to stay connected with you guys. Thank you so much for your attention. We really appreciate it.
Digital marketing agencies have a tough job. You have to stay on top of the latest marketing strategies for your clients and your agency. What if there was a way you could address both at the same time? Imagine your agency putting out content with greater quality and quantity. Envision bringing your clients a turnkey solution for one of B2B marketing's fastest growing media strategies, podcasting. You know all those clients asking for your help with their account-based marketing efforts? Picture being the first to bring them the idea of content-based networking, showing them the proven strategy for breaking into their most coveted accounts. Here's the concept. Sweetfish Media is looking to work with a limited number of innovative agencies interested in a new partnership model. We produce a podcast for your agency. You introduce the power of podcasting and Sweetfish services to your clients. Everybody wins. Learn more at sweetfishpartners.com.